So for one of the attack, what you mentioned was can Yes. These are the vulnerability ratings for these two attacks. And national security agents, or is it some basic hobbyist people? Finally, what is the capabilities? And using different factors, what do you think is plausible? Whether only a script kiddie, or it can be a nation state security agents, whatever. Only the hacker is one, but the local attacker means what? Either it's is and is a hacker. Okay. And based on which come up with a threat level.
Yeah, that's what it's like. I mean, group of person who actually performs attacks, script kiddie, hackers, insider, employee, or physical intruder. Mm.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah. Mm.
To perform. So
Earlier, So highest one is successful. Now, it will
talk out after n number.
What is an impact on your operation, regulations, and so on?
Standard and development or an existing standard.
No, I think this is confusing. Evaluate without knowing a product standards. Let's take the implementation effort because this is more important to consider. Let me take another table. How much? Because in the end it has to be implemented, right? The security control. And let's take that as an example. Oh no, it is. So can some of you put a screenshot of this implementation into the chat? Whoever has the document open. Yeah, this one. So what now? Tom, was it Ashley has placed? Yeah, or Priyanka, one of you. So based on this, you can consider now try to evaluate the values for time lag after multiple resets. How much do you think? No effect on standards adoption in the targeted user community. No significant effect on standards adoption in the targeted user community. Significant effect on standards adoption and unacceptable. So here you should say how big is an impact on this part. So probably here you can consider this explanation is more generic. Don't go with what is standards implementation. It's more about implementing your measure in the product. Yeah, when you are doing for a product. So for sure it's not a no impact. There is an impact because you are changing, right? But it's not significant. It's a low impact for the first one. Right? You need to change the software to update some logic on these products. And you need to update the logic and release it to all the products which are there in the field now. We'll get this update and this feature will solve the problem. Yeah.
So for implementation, it's low impact that you suggest. I was thinking medium.
Yes. What do you think now?
I feel it's medium, maybe for initially if somebody is making some mistake.
Because you don't need anybody's use at all here, right? It's nothing like you're replacing anything. It's a software update which automatically happens and starts working with. Because here not changing the password can be a bit of impact because at least they have to change the password to the 5 digits, 8 digits. Here you are doing nothing.
Right.
Existing passwords will work. They don't even know that there is a change. The normal users. It's only the one who is attacking gets to know that there are multiple trials which will lock out. For existing, there is nothing, and implementation is only software update.
Okay.
Yeah. Then for length of passwords increased, probably here all the existing softwares or the existing passwords has to be changed. Then here you have to think whether you will put it low or medium. But again, it's not a big thing to say it's medium, right?
Medium. Yes.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a big change also to put it a medium. It can be low as well here.
But you also have to change the software and
Yes. There is an
deploy
impact
it.
for sure, but it is no significant impact. Low doesn't mean no impact. There is an impact for sure, but it is not significant. It's not high.
Okay. Um, for the
Next one,
complex,
who will and if you tell me what will be here and why?
Major impact
Why?
because using complex passwords will extend the number of attempts indefinitely if the password is strong, so it becomes more and more harder to crack it.
Mm-hmm. No, but here we are talking about the impact of this security measure. Means how this security measure. We are doing a cost benefit analysis. Huh? How difficult and how much expensive it is to implement.
It would be similar to just how length of password increase would be done. It's just changing numeric to alphanumeric.
Think again.
but they have to remember, right? If it's a complex password.
No, don't think about the user point of view. Think about the company point of view.
Okay. Complex passwords. They need more storage spaces.
No, can you open Google?
Yes.
Yeah, just search for pin-based smart door lock.
Then it's smart.
Oh,
Smart
Door lock.
is it having a new keypad in itself in order to be able to type it in?
Exactly.
Uh,
See how they are? They are numeric 9-digit pins are currently, and when you want to do the complex, where will you put that complex characters?
Okay, you have to change the whole design and everything.
Yes. So you need a QWERTY keyboard to make this complex.
So it's major. Thing.
Yes. So length of password instead of 4, you make 8 digits. You are using one of the 10 digits. That's okay. But you are doing complex password, then you can't. Yeah, just think it this way. Just a standard common sense on how do you realize it in the end. How about biometric?
Again, major impact.
Same. You have to
It's
change
also
the
quite
design.
major because you might even need now the fingerprint sensor there.
Yeah.
And you need even much more complex than the password because here you are not just sufficient to have the change in the keypad, but you might need additional sensor and it needs a power connection and it's expensive.
Right.
This one,
OTP should be only a software change. So I think it can be low or medium. But it's just a software update that they have to do. But there will be licensing and all that they have to
But
take
the
prior.
OTP has to be provided to the door lock again, right? And that should somehow get to know that this is the password at this point in time.
yes, because the same device has generated OTP and that knows it. Because when you are putting the OTP, when whatever the password comes to a mobile, it is generated by the device, which is sent to your mobile, and it knows it currently what is it is sent.
Okay.
Okay. So I think the low. If we just take the software updation,
Maybe other key aspect, two things here. One, um, it can become a medium or even a major if you want to also have the request OTP button, which doesn't exist now. Yeah, that's what you should assume. If you want the additional key design change, then it is major.
In the log itself.
Yeah, in the device, because how will you now get an OTP? How will you request? It depends on the solution what you decide. If you say the solution of the OTP is from maybe you make a logic that anytime when you press for the first time, maybe the OTP will come, or you have an existing key, for example, enter key, or maybe you have an app, mobile app where you can request OTP, and that will set a password which you can use it. If you assume that, then it will become low or medium. Why medium? Because the software change is not just in the device, because it should also connect to the email server and it should send you the OTP, and OTP should reach a mobile on time and the real time information. It's a bit of complex change than 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is a simple additional 2-3 lines of code which you add, or maybe few lines of code what you add to just stop the timer, reset the pin, and so on, and increase the pin length. It's a small change. For OTP, it could be bigger than this, because you have to connect to the SMTP server, also send the OTP, and then remember the current password, and then authenticate. You also change the way it is authenticating, not with the stored password, but with a new password, and so on. That's a little bit of bigger change. So it's not low impact; it's a medium impact, if you ask me. And I will explain in this way. 1 and 2 are low because there is only a small software change only in the key lock. For OTP, I need also on the server side, because the OTP generation should happen, send it to the ECU or to the mobile plus to my device, and this needs additional implementation. Make sense, or you think not, or maybe your other suggestions here?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, so now this is how you have to do, and with this, you should decide which one you want to do implement for your product. Yeah, the same you have to do it for SQL injection now quickly, and then we finally go to the last step.
For
I think this step is clear, right? And ideally, you should do it not just for implementation, you should do it for also different parameters, which is described in the document, like regulatory impact, operational impact, and so on. But for the exercise, if you know one, now it's sufficient. You just have to repeat it for others. Okay, for SQL, quickly, who is an expert in SQL injection?
I think this also will need coding changes,
Yes.
code side changes. So
Mhm.
it will be a low impact. Should
Okay.
be.
So anyway, no impact on the customer. Customer is not doing anything, and you are doing code change in the background, updating as a part of normal release, and then it will low impact. The second level, not no, but low impact.
Yeah, low.
It's one. Yeah.
Stored password with hashing.
Mm-hmm. It's
Code change again.
yeah, again code change, how big and how small you have to decide here. Again, either you can do it again as one, or it's up again. If you are the responsible person for that development of that code, then you can rate it much better. But we as an outsider can also say if there's an already encryption and all these methods are existing, then it's not so complex. But if there's nothing existing which can be reused, which I have to develop a new algorithm or maybe implement a new package to integrate, and also once you encrypt, you have to also decrypt every time, right, to authenticate. This could actually increase the time of password authentication. When the user authenticates, if you are having simple hash, probably you don't have any encryption, then you just compare. But when there is an encryption here, then you have to decrypt, and then decrypted value has to be compared with your the received password, and finally this increases the time for login. There's an impact on also the people. The number of people who are logging in, and maybe also load on the server is increasing because you are doing encryption and decryption for every login.
Or what if, Professor,
Hashing.
instead of encrypting and decrypting, like, yeah, like this Priyanka told, hashing, or
Yes.
we don't have to decrypt itself. If you get the password, we encrypt and we compare the encryptions.
Yeah, we compare the hash values. That's it.
No, both of you are saying different things. What you are saying, Priyanka, is only about hashing.
Yes, and then we compare the hashed value with the one that is stored in the
That is a standard process. Yes, that's how every hashing works or every password storage works. But now, what you are saying, I think, who was the other one, Satya or Aditya? I don't remember now. Who was saying?
Me, Professor
Yes.
Aditya.
So
So
what was
because we have
your?
used encryption here,
Mhm.
instead of encrypting and decrypting, all we have to do is just encrypt every single time. So when we get a password, we encrypt it and compare it with the encrypted password at the database side.
What is the difference? Anyway, the received password you are encrypting, right? Either you are decrypting the stored one or you are encrypting the received one. Both are same. You are doing one encryption operation.
Yeah, but now it depends, right? Like which is less time consuming server load. So then we don't have to implement the other decryption
No,
algorithm. This
encryption,
is where
decryption, they don't take a different time. They are the same with opposite direction.
I'm sorry, Professor, I couldn't hear you.
The encryption, decryption, they both don't take a different time. They are the same processes which are done in opposite direction.
Okay, okay.
If you do an encrypt and the decrypt is same operation doing in the reverse direction. More or less, the
Okay.
timing wise, there is no big difference there.
Okay, okay, got it.
Because it's in the end one operation. It's not like you will implement a different algorithm to decrypt. No, the same algorithm is used to decrypt, which is used for encryption.
Got it, Professor.
So yes, then you suggested it. Now don't change the solution. Now the solution, Priyanka, what you said is yes. That is the one which is standardized and used, which is passwords are stored as hash values. That's normal. And okay, 8 o'clock. Correct. Server is running. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So yes, that can also be solution. If your current password storage is not in hash, then you should say use hashing and salting for password storage, and that can be also one of the solution.
Right.
And
So
there the implementation is bit different. Yeah. Here it could be medium, I would say, because the impact is not just on encryption, but also the way it handles the timing. But it's up to you. I'm not saying I'm right. So because, like I said, we are not experts in this particular product or countermeasure.
but for user community, it will be low impact, right? So,
Which one?
the storing the password in an encrypted manner or
Yes,
hashing or
yes,
sorting it.
yes, yes.
So, in that respect, it should be low impact, isn't it?
It's not a single respect. That's what. Don't always think about point of view. Think about your impact on you to cost and money. It's not a user is yes, because why we consider user impact to say when the users are annoyed they stop buying your product, that indirectly impacts on your finances or on your company. The people are not satisfied. The people are not onboarded to your devices, and that way in the end what we consider is impact on you. In this case we are saying impact on implementation of this measure.
Professor, I think the point of confusion was that in the actual table that's given in the document, they've given each description as the effect on the targeted user community,
Yes.
and not about the actual effect or difficulty of implementation.
This exactly I explained in the start of the explanation. Don't get confused with what is described in the document in terms of impacts, because these impacts they are capturing everything separately. Yeah, targeted operation. The targeted user community impact is only for operational, because when it is deployed, not for implementation. Yeah, for implementation, ideally it is an adoption. Means it's also for you to implement that, because if it is not yet deployed, it is in the end your cost to implement them. Yeah, for example, the first table standard design is telling uh, about the development. That's why we are not making this separate parameters. We are combining all of them and making one parameter. Yeah, it is understood or not? If not, let me share and tell you. This whole thing is done for different parameters. Yeah, the countermeasures is done for different parameters, and the end goal is introducing the countermeasure to the standard under development, that is a product or an existing product, can impose the changes affecting a time schedule and resulting in additional cost and effort. Who will have the cost and effort additional when you want to introduce a new feature? The company, right? Or the people?
Company.
Company. So in the end, final impact is on the company, but we have to also consider that what is the impact on the user. That's why we split it into multiple tables. First table is no impact on time and schedule and resources needed for this, means no change in software. And low impact means this is what we are saying for a implementation change. The word we are using implementation, but actually the standard is differentiating between the design, implementation, and operations. Operations, for sure, it is more on the user because users are currently using it. How will be the impact on the current users? Yeah? But for design and implementation, it is on the people who are doing that implementation in the product, which means the companies. Yeah. So don't get confused with the individual explanation of this table because and also the regulatory impact is also on the company. So no impact on the regulatory impact. GDPR, for example, if it comes, then there is an unacceptable impact on the this particular compliance issue. Yeah, like these are 5 parameters. For now, we are considering only on the impact on the company. Even if there is an impact on the user, we should consider indirectly. Indirectly means when the customers are not happy, they are not able to use these features, then anyway there is an impact that they don't going to use your products.
Professor, can you repeat for operation part, like uh, design implementation? After that, 6.10
Yes, this is an operation.
So again, here is the customer, uh, like, is it on the company or the customer here, this operation point?
It depends on type of the product. For example, if it is an online banking, for example, it is on the company. Yeah, because company, if there is sorry, the online banking is on the customer because customers are impacted until they change the password, they can't use their online banking. Yeah, but at the same time, if it is on the Facebook or social media, then it is on the not on the user, it's on the company because until the people change the password and start using Facebook and Instagram, they are losing the revenue from all the things what they get it for ads. If people don't log in to their portals, if they don't watch any thing in the YouTube or Instagram, Facebook will not get money. There is a big loss for them if the operation hindrance comes due to this change. So, in some cases, it can be an operational impact on the user. That's, for example, net banking. For me, I need to cash out or maybe transfer some money. It's an hindrance to impact on me. But for a bank itself, maybe it's a less impact because in the end, for them, it's not about spending money. There could be an impact, but there is a major impact on the users, right? When the banking website doesn't work. So, in some cases, types of a product, you might have an impact directly on you doing operation as a user, or sometimes it can be on the companies. Yeah. So we will try to combine both. This standard, like I said, is not for all domains. That's why don't try to apply this definition one to one for telecommunication, aerospace, automotive. No, because this is telling you a guidance on you should identify the parameters like an operation, and for your product, you should see what is an impact. If you are selling a social media website, or if you are selling an product which is, for example, smart door lock, here for sure impact is on operation is on the user, not on the company, right? Because until the password changes are done, this operations is impacted for them. They cannot use it maybe for a few minutes. If you change the keys, then they have to until the key change happens. Then for sure there's an operational disturbance for all the users. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So quickly, I think we are almost at a good state. Come back now. Who was sharing? I think Priyanka.
Yeah, yes, Miss, I'll share that. It's only the middleware was remaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So middleware, WAF. So what is an impact on this? Any of you?
I'm not sure. Aditya?
Yeah. So, Professor, I have a doubt here. So,
Mm-hmm.
implementing middleware can be costly because you would have to, if you want good ones, you have to outsource from the third party.
Mm-hmm.
But for code implementation wise, is minimal code to implement.
No, implementation is not always the code. Don't go in the. For example, for service company, implementation means integrating a component, integrating third party services and implementation. Implementation is not always coding. Implementation is making service available.
Okay. And then how
So
do we factor in cost into this?
yeah, exactly. That is the impact, right? If you see what is the definition of that implementation, if you see the explanation of the implementation, what does it say? No impact, no effect on adoption of this standard or in this implementation. No significant impact on adoption of this, significant impact, unacceptable impact. This is what you should translate into the cost. No impact, more or less it is internal change, small mode options. No significant means it is an impact which is one time. For example, you did a code change, you don't pay them like a is WAF, maybe it's a subscription, whatever kind of different things, and if you integrate them, then for sure you come up with more cost. Then it could be a significant cost. It depends
Then
on
significant implementation.
yes. So like I said, it's not applied to all industries. That's why this book, this methodology, you have to interpret based on what industry you're working for. Here, I would say it's a significant cost. If you say WAF is quite expensive, I don't know the cost of it. Yeah, it's against my services. So if I'm selling a product of a small product, if you ask me to take a subscription of Cloudflare or any of such, yeah, just give me 1 second. Huh?
Is it scalar also kind of a middleware?
Sorry, what, bro?
Is Zscaler also kind of a middleware?
No,
Or
zero
Zscaler
trust target.
has
It's like a middleman for everything, for every single packet.
okay.
So WAF is only for like your web interface. So now just you have a website and you have a public facing component, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your WAF sits behind the public facing component. So whatever user inputs will go through the firewall and then will go to your server side. In Zscaler's case, it's like every single packet which is sent from your laptop goes through Zscaler and they make all the requests for you. So they also analyze your packets.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of
Nice.
like a middleware, but at a lower level for everything internet related.
So for that, if I mean, for that, I think the subscriptions comes quite high for companies,
Yeah,
right?
licensing and all. Yeah.
Yeah, licensing and all will be expensive. So probably maybe we can take a estimate of how much does middleware cost
Yep.
company.
Yeah, again, like I said, it depends on type of the product, company. If you really see this, now you already see in many websites when you visit all this different Cloudflare or different WAFs. AWS also has, and all these things are used by the big companies, yeah, not the small companies, and probably they are expensive. And it depends on cost you will implement the need of it. So that's why you will say significant doesn't mean you will not do. It depends on your product need. You will do it. Yeah. If it is my simple personal database which has basic thing which has no such thing to worry about, then maybe I will not go for WAF. Right. I'll just go for other solutions. So you can assume something and write it down.
I think it will have medium to major considering cost.
Okay. So then fine.
You're fine with the major or what? Major, medium. Okay, I'll just put medium then. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So like this, you have to give multiple solutions, cost benefit analysis. Then last step is what?
Um, Regulatory impact, market acceptance.
All of them, like I said, you did it for one. I think the same can be done for all five parameters. But in the end, this step is about calculating such impact, cost benefit analysis. Last one is based on which you choose one of them and derive the requirements.
A specification of detailed requirements.
Yes. From this, you derive a requirement.
Okay.
Either select one of them, whichever is best for your product, probably one which has less impact, still has enough security. Then for brute force, which one do you want to go with? For brute force,
For brute force, it can be length of the password or the time lag. Both of them are fine. We have to take with respect to the cost that we are spending, right? The
yeah,
rating.
cost versus the benefit, because in the end we are using both, right? We are saying what is the cost and what is the benefit we get out of it. And probably the password increase instead of 4, if you already make 6, it will increase the time by 10 times. Probably it makes 6 months for somebody to try to open one door, which is more or less impossible. So it's sufficient for us to for a house doors.
Right.
Yeah. So like this, you have to discuss. Probably you go with only option 2. Say this, or maybe sometimes you combine option 1 and 2. Maybe you increase a bit and increase the lag, and both together might increase in years instead of time. If you make 9 digits, 5 digits plus maximum 3 trials, then already you are saying it's impossible to break for 1 year.
Right.
So you select it and then just make it bold and write a requirement, security requirement for this. This is the last step of the asset risk analysis. Like this, you have to do for all assets, all threats, bringing one or the other requirements in the end.
Okay, so for security requirement, we have to mention here like the length of the password should be increased and including with the time lag.
Yes.
That okay.
It's a high level, and then you describe what is the length. Is it 9 digit, 8 digit, or what is the length? You detail the requirement actually in the specification, yeah, where it's not sufficient to say just increase a length, how much, and with this increase, how much security you are going to get, and all this explanation is part of this detailed security requirements specification. Okay, I'll just put it here. Yeah, for now not needed, but for you to have a complete threat report, I also expect the same in your final exam reports, that when the security requirement means, it should be like a security requirement. Means it has a elaborated description on how the detailed requirement looks like. Okay, Professor. Clear, all of you? Any doubts here?
Professor, what do you mean by the sentence you told about security requirement? I did not understand.
What is step number? Can you read from the document again? What is last step?
I am just going through that. This is a recommendation which we provide based on whatever we have derived until now.
No, this is the recommendation at this step, but finally the last step is not a recommendation. Last step is the actual requirement. This recommendation you have to choose one of them and then write it as a requirement to implement.
Okay.
You are not doing a security. Yeah, I think recommendation is a highly used word for assessments, but ideally in the threat modeling, the result are to implement, because if you make them as a requirement, only then you can reduce the risk.
Right. Okay. So then, Professor, just say I, as a company, hire a third-party provider who would do the threat modeling for me. But the security requirement should be done with my input, right? Now, for example, I have excess money. I will be like, I would want to implement something complex, just say biometric.
Yes.
So then that would change. So this cannot be done independently. That's correct, right?
No, the last step is not independent. The security detailing requirement is not done by the external companies. External companies will only stop at this point. They will only give you the measures and the cost benefit list. That's it. Which one is best out of five? Or maybe you have like you said, you have enough money, or maybe your customers are premium, you want to be the best. It's okay to change it. Maybe you give it only for banks. It's okay to change it to biometric. The cost doesn't matter for you, but the security, then you go for four. That's up to you as a company.
Got it, Professor.
So once you decide, you have to elaborate. Whatever you decided out of five, you cannot just give out of five and say threat modeling is complete. No, threat modeling according to this method. Threat modeling according to this method has stopped at number 9. If you are getting from external party or whoever is doing it, analysis, and then you take a call based on the cost benefit analysis or whatever reasons you have. You select one of them or multiple of them, and then make them a requirement and implement in your product.
Got it, Professor.
Professor, one more thing I wanted to ask. Are there any available this threat modeling report of this model, threat model, so that we can go through it in detail?
Threat modeling reports of this model is difficult to get it. Some examples you might get it in from the ETSI, but the actual product report is difficult to get because actual product reports are confidential from the companies. You will get an examples according to TVRA, several examples also in their website, but not the real one. But you doesn't have to worry about, like I said, as long as if you know the method, there is nothing like right or wrong in it. You should know how to do. And as soon as you are in the company, you know the product, then you can do the much better results.
Yeah, Professor. But yeah, can you share any links so that we can just go through it?
Yeah, I think example I can also figure it out, but there in this website you can also find it. If you don't find it, then we can see it together. ETSI, I think I sent you this. link to all of you, right, or not? There are several resources in this. You can just refer to the different resources. There should be also a sample, and there are also some measures from the. Is it available? I think there are some adoptions. There is no direct example. I will try to figure out for this particular method. But for others, I will provide you for sure. For this method, I have to check if there is any available. There are some research papers where they really did it and made them available on the ETSI, but I have to figure out where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the company wise, we have it, but this I cannot share because these are company specific. We can only refer which are publicly available. Yeah.
Professor, but among the threat models that we covered until now, how do we decide that which one is good for one company or
it depends actually on the type of industry and the type of product because not every, for example, telecommunication industry has made this standard. Yeah. And there are different industries have their own standards. Maybe I think last time I told you there is something called Heavens model, which is widely used in automotive and rails. Yeah? Where this is a basis model, which is again similar to this, but it has completely different steps. Means again in the end, it's also talking about how do we model the threats, how do we do the threat analysis, how do we do the threat levels. Here we use the different words, but in the end, the whole security threat model is the same. And this, if you are in an automotive company, you cannot use the model TVRA, yeah, because it is a lot of things are not applicable. And if you are working with automotive trucks, boats, then usually this method. And if you are working with railways, there are also adoptions to the railways, the same method. You will also see there are some papers based on Heavens on the threat mapping, and you can use this methodology for railways. And then there are also some for medical, because each industry has adopted some things from this central standard methods like ETSI or PASTA or STRIDE. There is nothing like one approach. Usually in the companies, you will use approach based on type of the company and also your type of product you are doing. Yeah.
So, Professor, you meant to
So
say
what we saw now is for telecommunication. Yes.
you mean to say based on the product, the kind of model we choose depends.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because some, for example, if I go to the model of, I think in the beginning we saw, just give me a second here, right? Yeah, for example, this is on pasta method, not this one. Yeah, most important is this one. So it depends on type of products and type of approach we want to use. There is nothing wrong. I have also seen pasta being used in automotive, but the thing is, a lot of things are not relevant. The same like you, many of you asked, like now with the ETSI, some things are the ETSI is purely developed and released by the telecommunication. this whole resources, what they do, all the experts sit together who are in having this background, and they do the analysis. Mostly they use also industrial things, but they don't talk about IT or automotive, many things. And in that case, maybe some things will not match. Yeah, they don't talk about backend connections and cloud and such things. And also they don't talk about safety, which is automotive and aerospace. And that's why each industry type of product have adopted. Yeah. For example, if you see for a methodology in this one, which is industry specific, which I will also show you in one of the class, which you see we completely have the different level of exploitation or kind of an impact categories. The what you did now was the impact categories. Nowhere we talked about the danger to the people, right? We only talked about money and we only talked about impact on time and availability. But that standard will not help if I am doing for a cars, right? For car, what is important for me is if there's something goes wrong, what is an impact? Is there an injury? Is there a people get an accident? Is there get small injuries? Or is it life threatening injuries? Or is there a chance that people die due to this? Fatal or survival is uncertain. And such industry specific impact parameters like are used, defined by industry specific, which is of not used, and here the values are different, the way we use. And this you cannot apply now and go to the IT.
Mm.
Yeah, because this is specifically done for automotive. And the same way for railways, we define in railways we don't talk about one user because railway is all about carrying thousands of people at once, and it's about mass use. And we have the different categories to calculate. And the same with medical. And the medical, I think this is not for medical, but this is more on the yeah, this is for medical. Okay, this is for medical devices, and here also the impact categories are completely different. We use internally many methods like slide and different the basic ideas, but the actual methodology doesn't uh, consider the impacts of what we did in the current method. Yeah? Here we go more on the people health, people security than impact and network and so on. Okay, and this is the methodology in for medical devices. Here also we do the similar steps, but maybe different words. But in the end, the approach what we are taking will be slightly different in each of them. Yeah, and in the IT, if you ask me, if you are going to pure software company, they only care about CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and simply go with Stride. They don't use any other methodology. Just go with Stride methodology. Use a Microsoft threat modeling tool, which will automatically give you all the threat list, and more or less you will not have any difficulty what you are doing now in the class. And I am taking a different approach. I'm not teaching you that because that has no real effort and understanding needed for you. A lot of things are done inside the tool itself. And what is important for you as a master student is to understand everything and then apply one. What is important when you go for work? You should know every different kinds of methodology exist in the industry. And that's why I'm giving you glimpse of all methodologies. And that's why always I push you to follow the methodology. It doesn't matter right or wrong, because in the end you are going to learn a lot of things from inside. Yeah.
So,
IT.
Professor, someone who is trying to get into automotive sector security domain, so knowing this heavens is like good to know kind of a thing.
Yes, of course. If most of us we do only with heavens, means heavens is the base model. Then on top of this, there are modifications called Tara according to 2144, which I will also give you a live example. I think I have it on one of the class. The then anyway that we will see. But yes, the heavens is the base model for whole automotive and truck and boats and all the physically moving devices. So there are different methodologies. The industry-wise type of product which I will introduce you one of the classes, the high level, because each of them itself is 1 week class actually. That's why even this TVRA I take almost 3 days training, where we'll go through. But since for your lecture it doesn't make, it's not a heavens training. It's just an overview for you to understand, or not a TVRA as well. I have to finish everything in one class. So for now, get all this material. Try to know what different methods exist and what are they, what do they differ from. You saw the difference, right? What we saw in the approach of initially Tara, what we did in our class, this one was looking into remediation analysis, and did we and the threat analysis, and we never talked about vulnerability there. And in our today's TVRA, we talked about threat level, and also we did a vulnerability level, and then combined we came up with a risk, and then we also did a cost benefit analysis. We did not do the remediation analysis here. We did a cost benefit analysis. So one methodology has its own flavor of doing it, and both has advantages and disadvantages, which depends on the industry it is working with.
Yeah, got it.
So, Professor, one more doubt. Our model should be based on what is the imaginary company that we are going to choose for our exam,
For
right?
the exam, okay, there are two topics. For the exam, what I would say is I could also simply give you one methodology, but I want you to try and choose a different methodology. Any product of that type, if you choose that industry, you can assume that, and for that you have to do the exam. I think these are two different topics. Exam wise, if you ask me, I think this is also one of you, I don't know who it was, asking me the question. Let me quickly clarify because before we close today. Oh, no. What is this? So here we have the project work requirements, which you have to read. Yeah. Here, create a generic company description with assumptions about its size, how big is the company, type, and products. Yeah. This is most important that you define all of them and consider the scenario of integrating the application. Now we are talking about integrating one of these application what you chose in as a part of your exam. And now if this applications is more or less IT applications, and then you are integrating into your product like SAP system or maybe your internal systems, and then you have to do the following steps. Here you are doing a stakeholder analysis, application risk profiling for this particular products. Then you have to write at least two user stories and edge stories, and then perform threat modeling. And threat modeling should include your model, analysis, and evaluation, all three. And what does that mean? You could use any of your choice, but since these products are IT, most probably you could use stride methodology is the simplest one, or you can use pasta for your use, because you cannot use heavens for the example of this integration. Yeah, because then you have to use a product instead of this. Suggest some product like you want to do it for automotive, then go for heavens. If you want to do it for aerospace product, then go for aerospace. But don't say I want to integrate passport and then I will use heavens, because heavens ask you what is the safety impact and you can't answer for passport. Yeah? It depends on type of software or the product you chose here to integrate. If it is purely a software tool or software application, if you are selected, then possibility is that you can only use stride model or with a Microsoft threat model process or Mitre attack. The first one, the Tara. These are the 3-4 methods you have options for software. But the ETSI, what we are discussing, TVRA, and what we are going to do, heavens, these are not cannot be applied on softwares.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Clear or any doubts from any of you still? This option is open. If you still say if you cannot use open source, or if you want to say that you want to develop an Tara on product which is automotive or maybe aerospace, then you can use heavens and select that product as an exam for you. That is also okay. I will not say no for that. But in the end, I need this things. What are the threats you identified? What are the risk values and what are the measures? And what you treat and what you don't treat, or what you accept. What risks do you accept and what risks you fix. And all of this test has to be interconnected. Okay, clear or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor.
So usually, maybe I will not show you the actual contents, but I would expect something like this. Yeah, you can use any tool. Yeah? You can use either simple Excel or you can use Microsoft threat modeling tool. You can use anything. Yeah? I will show you one of the examples. Since you are staying so long in the class, you deserve to know a bit more. So I will see, for example, step one, stakeholder analysis. I expect this in like in the table. So you have stakeholders, their availability and know-how, and what is their interest in security and so on. Yeah, this is important for your examination to do it for the product what you choose. Okay, this is step number one in your this one, stakeholder analysis. Yeah, this you can do it in a PDF, Excel, whatever tool what you want to do. It has to be part of the stakeholder analysis. Any questions here?
No, Professor.
Then you have to define a scope of an application, and then you have to do the application risk profiling. Yeah? This already we did an exercise, and also I shared you with one of the PDF on how to do the risk profiling. Read again and try to do the risk profiling. And if I remember, I also asked you explicitly assume the company size so that you can decide what is the production level and what is the damage you can accept. And like this, you have to do an application risk profiling. Yeah. And then comes the security requirements. You have to write few security requirements and few user stories for your product. So 2 security requirements, 2 user stories at least to have the completeness. And then there is a threat model which you derive different product, how the product is connected with each other. Then in the threat documentation, what is important is you could, for example, in this case, I use a stride and I will map to the stride methodology what threats are applicable with which stride thing. Yeah? And then comes the evaluation where how these threats are realistic. What are those ratings? You could use risk rating by OASP or you can use any different method existing. Then in the end, I want to see what is the threat decision, whether the risk is high, low, or medium. And if it is high, then what should I do? If it is low, what should I do? Medium, what should I do? And then some explanation and why. Yeah. And then there is an overall threat modeling link which explains how these all steps are connected. The stakeholder analysis, different threat modeling components. Finally, the result is to get the goals and requirements output of this threat model. Yeah, this is how it is, just for an explanation to say how all of these modules are connected. It's not mandatory, but this is how it is connected to show all different steps which are expected in the exam here. Stakeholder application you saw, user stories you saw, threat modeling is the one where you did see the picture of product under evaluation plus the table which is doing threat analysis. This is an system diagram or threat under evaluation with a threat boundary, and then you have the different elements mapped to slide, and then there's an evaluation of risk, impact, and threat, and then finally coming up with a risk for that. And that risk, what will I do? Do I keep? Do I accept? Do I reduce? Whatever your decision is, and then explain why it is done like this. This is one of the real report of uh, performing the complete threat list for a small application. Yeah, you can do it in Excel, you can do it in a product, you can do it in a in a tool. It's up to you. Clear? Or any doubts here?
Yes, Professor. Currently, I'm making it in the Word, so
It
it is
doesn't
fine
matter. You can
or
do it in Word, Excel.
okay.
In the end, if you can able to clearly communicate the 7 steps
Mm-hmm.
and exactly like the document I saw shown you, and this is one of the example which got 1 out of 1. That is the best example to connect completely from 7 steps. Take the application, bring the goals. This is like a complete reference example. Yeah. Again, it's up to you how deep you do and how much you do inside each of them. In the example, what I have shown is done one for an reference one. Okay, perfect. Then continue. So I think it's late. So let's talk again next week. I think we have another 2 classes, right? Then we have an exam, right? Or not? So any of you have any doubts with the exam now or for the preparation? Um, what is the date did we decide here? I think the date wise we decided to have it on 1 and 8, right? Preferred presentation dates. Yes, many of you chose 8, I think. Yeah. Few are on first and few are on 8th. So we will start from first. I mean, another 2 classes. We will make it on 17th and 24th. We will do 2 more models. Mostly, I think we can't practice such details every model, but we will try to go through and give you as much as information on the different models. Okay. For now, any questions? If not, then we can close the call. It's up to you.
No doubts, Professor.
No? Okay, perfect then. Enjoy the rest of the evening and we'll talk next week.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Professor.
you.
Was tue ich eigentlich den ganzen Tag? Ich bin Buchbloggerin mit eigener Buchhandlung und Tierbuch. Schlagen, aufschlagen, nachschlagen, vorschlagen, abschlagen, schlagen, aufschlagen, nachschlagen, vorschlagen, abschlagen. Let's have a look at the 43rd dialogue in Hindi. तेरे साथ ही सेट हो यार, इतनी सी बात है. And the dialogue in German becomes: Ich bin nur mit dir verbunden. Ja, nur mit dir. Und das ist die ganze Geschichte. And this was our 43rd dialogue out of 100 Bollywood dialogues in German series. I am Devanshu Sharma, your German tutor, signing off. And we'll meet again for the 44th dialogue very soon. See you.
मिस्टर बीस से पहले ये जो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा यूट्यूबर था प्यूडीफाई, उसने चुपके से पूरा 1 साल लगाया और अपना खुद का चैट जीपीटी और क्लॉड जैसा एआई बना डाला. नाम है ऑडेशियस. कहानी में ट्विस्ट ये है कि ये ऐसा एआई है जो किसी कंपनी के सर्वर पे नहीं, तुम्हारे अपने लैपटॉप पे चलता है. ना सब्सक्रिप्शन ना डेटा चोरी. गजब की बात ये है कि ये पूरी चीज उसने पूरी दुनिया को बिल्कुल मुफ्त में दे दी. पर सवाल ये आता है कि जब ओपन एआई और गूगल जैसी बड़ी कंपनीज हजारों करोड़ों रुपए और सुपर कंप्यूटर्स लगाकर भी एआई बनाने में इतनी मशक्कत कर रही हैं, तो ये प्यूडीफाई का एआई सिस्टम बिना किसी सर्वर के अपने ही लैपटॉप पर कैसे चल जाएगा? ऐसे चल जाएगा कि ये एक कॉन्सेप्ट है जिसको बोलते हैं लोकल एआई या फिर लोकल एलएलएम्स. देखो, नॉर्मली जब तुम चैट जीपीटी या किसी और एआई, छोटी सी कहानी ध्यान से सुनना, इससे पता चलेगा आपको कि हमारा देश पब्लिक ऑफिशियल्स करप्शन की वजह से बर्बाद है. अगर ये थोड़ा सा भी सही डिसीजन ले लेना तो हमारी जनरेशन टू जनरेशन हेल्प हो जाएगी. ये इंडिया है हमारा, और यहाँ पर यूरोप में साइड में है ये देश जिसका नाम है